The National Prosecuting Authority says it is going ahead with inquests into the 10 killings in 2 incidents in the Eastern Cape in 1993. The first incident took place on the 1st of May 1993 at the Highgate Hotel in East London, where unknown gunmen opened fire and killed 5 people, 7 others were injured. The other incident relates to the killing of 5 children in North Crest in Mthatha on October 8th, 1993. Let's discuss the significance of this particular moment and what this means now for the families and the survivors who are hoping to get some closure. We'll speak to NPA spokesperson Luxolo Tyali, as well as the Foundation for the Human Rights Executive Director, Dr. Zaid Kimmie. Let me thank you both for your time. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Kimmie. Let's talk about the significance of this particular moment in relation to these killings.
Yeah, I can only speak with some knowledge about the Highgate Hotel case. And this is an important moment. A number of people, as you said, were killed in that incident, and there are some survivors. And there was no inquest conducted at the time as required by law. So 31 years later, we're going to have an inquest, and for the first time, I think the victims and the survivors will have an opportunity to tell their story and to try and find out what really happened.
Dr. Kimmie, I'm not sure if you're still able to hear us. Your line was freezing there quite a bit. And you talk about, of course, those who'll be able to come forward and then tell their stories. But let's also talk about, you know, the quest for answers as well, and the longing for closure by some of the families as well as the survivors. Just how much are you hoping that there would be information in this regard as well?
It's very difficult for us to know how much new information will come to light. There's been a lot of speculation about the case, about who carried out the attack, but a lot of it is just that, speculation with possibly some, hard evidence here and there. But in the main, we don't have a lot of evidence. It's clear that the initial investigation by the police at the time was carried out very badly. And so it really is an uphill struggle. 30 odd years later, we hope that information will come to light, which will try and give the survivors some answers about what happened. But it is unlikely, I think, that we will find any real new information at this stage.
Luxolo, I wonder then, just before we even get into the case around this particular inquest, let's just talk about this important moment for the NPA and the decision to go ahead with these inquests.
Yes, we have the Director of Prosecutions in the Eastern Cape has made a decision to have a formal inquest on the 2 incidents, 2 cases that you have mentioned. The purpose of the inquest is for all those who may have information to come forward and be able to present it. What is left now is for the Judge President of the Eastern Cape to appoint a judge to have those to preside over the 2 inquests. One relating to the murders of the 5 children in North Crest, and the 5 people that were murdered in Highgate in East London. Well, the main purpose is to have closure on this matter, so that if the inquest is able to determine as to who should be prosecuted or found criminally liable for the murders, can be prosecuted. You will remember that these 2 incidents happened more than just before the first democratic elections. So some of the witnesses have since passed on, and in some cases you find that there was a deliberate concealation of information. Some people made sure that the investigations would be frustrated, so that the people that were responsible for the murders or the decisions that were made for the murders cannot be found. So the inquests are meant to make sure that there is justice that happens for the victims and the families of the deceased.
And in light of what you've just said, then, Luxolo, families would potentially then say, if so much time has lapsed, and looking at the investigations that were done at the time and everything you've just said right now, how much then can they hope that this particular process is going to bring them closure and also much needed answers?
This is a legal process that is meant to at least be able to assist in the predicament that we find ourselves in, because we need to get as much information as we can. In some cases, in these two cases, you find that the persons of interest have since passed on, and some witnesses have since passed on. But an inquest is not like your trial.
Yeah.
At least people can come up with information, even if it's hearsay, that they say can be able to point us to a direction that is going to bring closer or bring us to evidence that can be able to assist in a criminal.
Dr. Kimmie, are you hopeful that there would be people who come forward and shed some light into some of what happened, even if it's through hearsay, as we're hearing from the NPA?
Yeah, but hope. The question still has to be asked: why has it taken the NPA until now to declare this as an inquest? The families and the victims have been asking for close on 16 years for an inquest to be opened. They've called on the NPA to open an inquest in this case. And in those 16 years, as the NPA spokesman has pointed out, evidence has been lost and witnesses have died. So, yeah, that makes this case very difficult. But we still have to answer the question of why it's taken this long to open an inquest into this case. And no one's bothered to come forward and give the families a proper answer to that question either.
And Luxolo, do you want to maybe answer that question? Because it is a valid question and that the NPA has been asked, and of course, when it comes to these particular matters. Luxolo? All right, it does look like we've lost the NPA spokesperson there, as we're trying to understand as to why did it take so long. I mean, you're listening to the families. They talk about, the fact that they've been asking for this particular inquest to be open for about 16 years now. And the reality is, as the NPA is saying, that a number of persons of interest, of course, are not going to be available, but they are hoping that there could be some people who come forward to shed more light as to what happened here. So let's then, put the final question to you then, Dr. Kimmie, because it doesn't look like we still have the NPA spokesperson with us. So for the road ahead, in the absence of all of these answers, and potentially when you get to that particular inquest, many of the questions may still not be answered. How then do the families reconcile possibly what could come out of here in the absence of some of the answers and picking up the pieces and moving forward?
It is still, I don't think we should minimize the fact that an inquest is going to happen. Yeah. It is going to be an opportunity, again, for people to tell their story, for witnesses to come forward, and for a formal finding to be made about who was likely responsible. So we remember at the moment, there was never an inquest, so all we have is speculations and denials. So we will at least have a legal process where a judge will be able to say it's likely that these parties were responsible or that these individuals may have been implicated. And that will vindicate, I think, some of what the families have been saying, and hopefully give them some closure and allow them to move forward. Of course, the people who were badly injured in the attack, the two survivors that we work with, they in need of further support, medical attention, etc. And we hope that as part of this process as well, they'll be able to get access to further support they need.
And let's see then what happens, and hopefully at some point you do get the answers from the NPA as to why it's taken so long. We were hoping to do that tonight, but unfortunately we lost the NPA spokesperson there in the Eastern Cape. But thank you so much for your time. Do appreciate it. That was NPA spokesperson Luxolo Tyali and the Foundation for Human Rights Executive Director Dr. Zaid Kimmie.